Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Spoiler Warning, featuring myself, Tom Colohue. This is where we talk wrestling news, and we've got quite a few headlines for you today. The top story is, of course, Vince McMahon's involvement in new storylines that are being prepared for both Drew McIntyre and Bray Wyatt. So I'll be talking individually about Drew McIntyre's work with Vince McMahon, Bray Wyatt's work with Vince McMahon. I've got a little bit more and a few more covers, so the meaning of the term undisputed and why the WWE are currently pushing an undisputed title that is seriously disputed. Why we're seeing Roman Reigns on TV so much and what that means for future TV money, as well as more information on Rhea's new belt and Bo Dallas's current status with the company. There's one last thing I want to discuss as part of our headlines, and that's WWE's interest from Disney. Disney are looking at the possibility of getting hold of some WWE material, product as it were, good old-fashioned TV, which would be used on Disney+. That would mean some significant changes being made to the WWE, particularly to pretty much whichever show they end up on. So quite a bit to cover on that one. Quite a bit to cover. Of course, in addition, we'll be answering all of your questions, whatever questions you may have. So let's start by jumping into what you guys are saying. So far, lots of hellos. I used to read them all, but we do start off so far behind when I do that. So I will just say a thank you to, so far saying hi, Mick, Dark Society, KJ, Jaden, Raymond, Carlos, Daz. Thank you for sharing, Daz. Adam, Stuart, Zane, Joey, Timothy, Leon, Richard, Jordan, Khalid, Venom. I've already said that one. Bailey, Wrestling and Magic, Madsen, Moxie, and Michael. Thank you everyone for already joining us and saying hi. We have our first few questions in. Joey, we will be talking about Bray in just a moment. And Carlos, I will be talking about Rhea's belt quite soon. So, with that in mind then, nothing I can really jump into in the chat right now, because I'm going to be getting to it soon. Let's start with Drew McIntyre. Now, this time last week, we had a very contentious spoiler warning after a whole load of trolls turned up in my Twitter feed and basically boosted the viewership of the channel quite significantly, because we got more than 10,000 views on Twitter, and a lot of those went straight into clicking the link and coming to watch the show. You may know I'm experimenting with a few more things on Twitter, threads for example, to basically try and take advantage of the big thing on Twitter now, which is 2 minutes on one tweet. 2 minutes on one tweet, best way to do that is a thread. So I'm going to start with Drew McIntyre. As I mentioned last week, they are currently preparing for his return. This has now been confirmed by PWInsider, who have stated that there's been no advancement in contract negotiations, which I previously mentioned. There has been no advance in contract negotiations, but the WWE are currently attempting to bring him back. There is a belief, you'll note that I've previously discussed about the there's a belief journalism. There is a belief that Drew McIntyre will not return without having a new contract in place, but Drew McIntyre is under contract for a further 10 months, and the fact that he's currently out injured suggests that they may add that time on anyway. He is currently out injured. That's also been confirmed now by PWInsider. Thank you, PWInsider. What I can state is that Vince McMahon has gotten directly involved in this one. Part of the negotiations is attempts by Drew McIntyre to ensure that he is competing for World Championships upon his return, at least before his contract expires. And Vince McMahon, from what I can tell, is of a mind to give him what he wants. This would necessitate Drew McIntyre being the one to dethrone Seth Rollins, and would necessitate a heel turn from Drew, though of course we've already been discussing that as a possibility. Going forwards, it seems like Drew McIntyre will have the ear of Vince McMahon a lot more than he actually has the ear of Triple H. Triple H wanting to work with Seth Rollins, potentially Gunther, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, Jey Uso, etc. going forwards. Now, there's a lot of new championships being brought into play at the moment, so it does create some opportunities, but Drew McIntyre's after Roman, which is interesting considering he simply cannot get Roman at this point in time. He wants to finally beat Roman, and this is a difficulty in this. Drew McIntyre is apparently unlikely to be signing any new contract that doesn't guarantee him world titles. Vince McMahon eager to provide. Triple H not so much. Triple H seems more likely at this point in time to provide Drew McIntyre with an intercontinental Championship run, but once again, that would be as a face and then necessitate a heel turn to work with Seth Rollins. Joey says, do you think Drew will return as a heel and go after Seth? I think I've covered that as best I possibly can then. Hello, Chungles, how are you? Wrestling and Magic says, who do you think will win the Money in the Bank briefcase this year? All of my predictions are currently on YouTube. There is a Money in the Bank prediction video detailing all the matches I think will happen, all the entrants I think will be in each match, and who I think will be picking up the win. So for each individual one, you can by all means check that out. Moxley suspects Rhea Ripley will get the World Heavyweight title with a white strap. I have covered that in shorts. Pretty much, yes. Thank you, Wrestling and Magic. Eric says, could you see Priest beating Gunter? Yes, I mean, everything is on the table. Dawn Welcome says, also Tom and chat, don't forget to hit that like button. And please do not forget to hit the like button. We currently have 20 likes and 63 viewers. So 3 times as many viewers as likes. If you're able to, please remember to hit that thumbs up. Joey said, are the women's tag titles getting rebranded? They are not being rebranded, but they are getting rid of the women's tag team championships of NXT. Daz, I'm not sure what's been announced so far. I've been preparing the show, so I haven't really been checking for the past half hour or so. Also, there's a massive thunderstorm outside, and the sky is purple. A little bit distracting. Rizal says, I noticed Asuka's new title also said the word undisputed on it. Charlotte kept pointing to the Raw title when she was challenging Asuka. Is there anything to this? No. Moxley says, I do feel they should have done more with Roman's belt since it's 1,000 days. Maybe make it look something like the NXT UK title because it was beautiful. They are very happy with the choice that they've made. Venom says, any news on AOP return? Nope. Or CM Punk? Nope. I think I've been about as ahead of the game of CM Punk as I possibly can, detailing exactly when he would be returning and sharing details as to when that would happen. Ed, you alright mate, says Vince is going to give Drew Batista and give him what he wants. JJ says, hey Tom, do you know if Becky re-signed even though her contract is not up till next year, or they're still discussing it? To my knowledge, they are still actively discussing it, though Becky Lynch has got a pretty solid contract on the table, which includes limited dates. Zane, I've watched Joe Hendry wrestle a couple of times. He's quite fun. Joey says, do you think there'll be creative problems again if Bray is working with Vince? Funny you should say that. Let's talk about the next thing I want to cover, and that's Bray Wyatt working with Vince McMahon's creative oversight. So there is now a whole team of people working with Bray Wyatt to try and ensure they write a story which works for them. The Fiend, from what I can tell, is not somewhere that Bray Wyatt wants to go back to, though Vince McMahon would actually like a second going of that one. He did very much like the Fiend character, particularly Firefly Funhouse Bray. As regards Uncle Howdy, Vince is said to be more of a fan than Triple H is, which is interesting because Triple H is the one who gave Bray the reins. Bray Wyatt, of course, is experiencing some difficulty in getting that off the ground, but he is still working pretty hard to try and make it happen. There is still a lot of interest in the Bray Wyatt character, though what I will say, from what I can tell, the pitches that are being made, the ones that Bray Wyatt is happy with, Triple H is not happy with. The ones that Triple H is happy with, Bray Wyatt is not happy with, and that causes problems. If at any point Bray Wyatt goes above Triple H's head, we may get Bray Wyatt returning sooner than you think. Spiderball says, hello Tom. Who do you see as Seth's new opponent? Good question. Drew McIntyre makes the most sense for me, though I think Gunter is a long-term one. Finn Balor is next up. Moxie says, I think Priest will beat Gunter. Okay. Spiderball says, the Bloodline storyline keeps getting better. I like it. I think they definitely had a lull, but they've improved since. Adam says, hey Tom, is there any big plans for Johnny Gargano? No. Hogan says, I can't imagine the WWE signing anyone to a contract that explicitly guarantees a world championship. Well, Hogan, have I got a bit of history to share with you. The first time that I recall a WWE championship being guaranteed in a contract is The Big Show, who was guaranteed a world championship run within a year of his arrival in the company. He debuted in February and actually won the championship in the November. Secondly, Kurt Angle had a guaranteed world championship in his initial contract, and it was again in the first year, and he won it within the first year, debuting in the November and winning the championship in the October. In fact, I believe it's actually quite possible that I think he may have debuted the same night Big Show won. Yeah. So that's actually quite common. It's also it's less popular at the moment, but Bobby Lashley, for example, was guaranteed a match with Brock Lesnar, but it wasn't in writing, which caused some issues. Rey Mysterio was guaranteed a push for Dominic Mysterio, and that was in writing. There's also a number of different things that Ronda Rousey had guaranteed in her contract too. Khalid was hyped for the Bray Wyatt news. Dark Society says I'd be okay with either Jimmy or Jay beating Roman at SummerSlam if it happens. Me too. Raymond says, what are your thoughts on Braun challenging Seth and where that can go from there? It would certainly draw some eyes and draw some ratings for NXT, and they're trying to get eyes on NXT at the moment to get the ratings up so that they will get more money if they're able to sell the TV rights. Joey says, do you know if Cody will be working Money in the Bank or is he sitting this one out? I predict that Cody will be a part of Money in the Bank and that Brock Lesnar will be getting involved. Richard believes Drew won't renew his contract and sign with AEW. That's also a possibility. Daniel, at this point, no news that I'm aware of ITV showing AEW Collision. Oh, OLE is here. Hello, saying hello, Tom. Welcome, mate. I was literally watching your TikTok earlier. Moxie says, if I was WWE, I'm booking Finn to turn face, then beat Gunter at Royal Rumble, then Gunter goes into the Rumble and wins. I wouldn't hate it. Spider-Bell says, when could we see Rhea defending her women's title? Soon. Most likely, definitely at SummerSlam, but in the lead-up, could be plenty of time. Megan, how you doing? Says, evening everyone, hope you're all doing well. Welcome, Megan, lovely to see you. Richard says, Tom, are the new women's title designs just a new design or new titles altogether? They are new titles altogether, but they follow the lineage of the previous championships. Venom says, do you think Johnny's in a match tonight? Nothing's been announced. Daniela says, hello, Tom. Sorry I missed the start of the stream. No worries, mate. I know this isn't to do with wrestling, but I was just playing badminton and it's gone 10 p.m. I like a game of badminton, to be honest. It's like tennis, but slower, so I can actually keep up. Joey says, do you know if Bray's been pitched to work with anyone? A number of people, quite a few people, in fact, have been offered to Bray Wyatt to work with, carrying Cross, probably the most notable one that actually might fit the universe, and some bigger names such as Finn Balor has been mentioned a few times, but there's just very little interest from many sides in that. Bray Wyatt, unfortunately, is not someone that a lot of people do want to work with because they really don't think it'll help their career. Jungles believes that Bray will return at SummerSlam. C-Max says, I think Bray's in-ring performance is what needs to be worked more than anything. Play Pain says, have I missed the Bray Wyatt news ever so slightly? Yes, if you dip back about 4 minutes, you should have all the news there. Just rewind and it'll be right there for you. Venom, I remain confident that Finn Balor will be next up for Seth Rollins. Khalid says, Tom, I love if The Fiend returns, but Bray Wyatt, I want him back. I don't see The Fiend returning. Spider-Boss says, I'm interested in the women's tag team title unification match. They've got a few weeks, and my suspicion is that they will be building Fiery Dawn in that time. They should do. It would be a big help if they're able to do so. Moxie says, if you're head of creative for 3 hours, how would you put Gunter losing the title? I wouldn't. I'd give him all the belts immediately. Razar says, since WWE is trying to turn NXT into a third brand again, does this mean call-ups are going to get cancelled since NXT will need top talent too now? They already have. I've mentioned a few times multiple call-ups were planned for Bron Breakker and Roxanne. They did not happen. They were cancelled. No, Adam. In fact, that's the exact opposite of what I've said. Hogan says he believes Big Show debunked that rumour. No, to my knowledge, that was there. To my knowledge, at least. I mean, if Big Show's personally saying it, then that's a first-hand source, and I'll certainly have a rethink about it, and maybe stop mentioning it, or do a little digging and find out what I can find out. It says, I'd love Seth's response to Braun just be a 1-minute video of Seth and AJ laughing at Dom on loop. So, what I do like is recently for Up, Up, Down, Down, they did the summer fling, I can't remember the name of it, the big summer thing. And what they were doing a lot was just going, boo, and they were all doing it, so there's that low from, it's quite fun. Spider-Boss says, I think Drew will stay in WWE. Zayn was shocked to see Steve Macklin lose the Impact Wrestling World title to Alex Shelley. Play Pain says, how is everyone? Doing pretty well, thank you, mate. Eric says, I'd love Raquel versus Rhea for Money in the Bank. I find it unlikely. There are only so many matches they can have on the card, and a lot of time will be getting dedicated to the actual ladder matches. Joey says, could WWE negotiate less commercials during the shows in the new TV deal? Yes, and they'd get paid a lot less to do it, so they wouldn't. Quinn says, will Randy come back? If you want more information on that, Quinn, there is plenty of information, in fact, real in-depth, that you can't find anywhere else right here on this YouTube channel. Just check out the video section. Your question will be answered. Noob says, hello Tom, how's your weekend? My weekend was very good, thank you. Very chill, did a lot of walking though, as usual. Daniela says, may I ask for your prediction for the fatal 5-way tag team turmoil match? Personally, I am going with the Street Profits, though I do feel Pretty Deadly would be a good way to help them build. The fact that it's a gauntlet means that basically whoever comes last is pretty much in a great position to win. Hello, Vapecart, how are you? Raymond says, do you think Alba Fire and Isla Dawn will be connected to Bray? Could be connected to Bray? No. Venom says, is Seth defending against Breaker on NXT then? If it happens, it'll be on NXT. Joey says, who else do you see getting sent down to NXT? No one is getting sent down. They are being asked to work with NXT to help NXT go up. Spider-Bell says, working with Bray Wyatt certainly doesn't help his opponents. Seth Rollins and Finn Balor didn't benefit from working with Bray. Nobody did. The Miz didn't. Randy Orton didn't. Nobody benefited from working with Bray. Richard says, didn't they try to make it a third brand and failed because AEW started? No, it wasn't because AEW started, though they were beaten on Wednesday nights. When they moved to Tuesdays, they did continue to build and did continue to have a good TV viewership. Just unfortunately, that did go the wrong way. Daniela says, Roxanne's kind of losing her way in NXT recently, to be honest. I agree with that. Ken says, will the Forgotten Sons be returning? No. Adam says, so then what do you think his gimmick will be for Wyatt? I think Bray Wyatt will be Bray Wyatt. That's who he is, that's who he was. I think you're asking, I think you're leaning too much into this. Way too much into this. Bray Wyatt will be whoever Bray Wyatt ends up being, and we'll know soon. But Bray Wyatt doesn't like to repeat himself, even though he's technically telling the same story again and again. He will create some new incarnation now. You've just got to let it play out. There's no answer to that question. Razar says, what do you think of Caden and Katana debut last week? They did not debut last week. They debuted quite a few weeks ago. Play my predictions for the Money in the Bank is available here on YouTube. Moxie says, I think the worst thing that happened with Bray's character is that he's always saying the same thing about Howdy every single week with the same promo, never progressed, and he unwrestled once in 8 months. Yeah, wasn't great. Vegeta, if you've checked out the Drew news, you would know that there was absolutely no mention of that. Okay? Venom says, isn't it going to hurt Breaker constantly having him lose big matches? Depends how you use it. Moxie says, I'd like for Seth to defend the World Heavyweight Championship against Bron Breakker at Money in the Bank. He won't. Spider-Bell says, what do you think about Roxanne Perez's booking on NXT? I liked it when she was champion. Joey says, who do you see Edge working with when he returns? He will be returning for SummerSlam. Honestly, I'm not sure. Danielle says, I'd like the OC to win, but my thinking is unfortunately Pretty Deadly will win. No boy. Hogan says, found the video of Big Show saying it. 411 mark a Big Show on WWE's if it's on the internet says false. That's ridiculous. Vince doesn't put like that in a contract. I appreciate that, mate. You've actively gone out and found the source to back up what you're saying. And you may well have just raised very credible argument against something that I personally have believed and been told several times over the years. So I really do appreciate that. I will do some digging and see what I can find out. Bailey says, what about Jay White's booking on AEW? A little underwhelming. Certainly starting at a low and hopefully will start to build soon. Blue says, Bray tells the same story with new coats of paint. Yes, he does. And Brad says, Tom, what are we going to do about Howdy? We're going to do absolutely nothing because it's not up to us. The WWE will make their decision. Next thing I want to mention is the concept of Undisputed that the WWE are currently doing. We have 85 viewers and 37 likes. If you're able to, please remember to hit that thumbs up. It really does help the channel grow. The meaning of Undisputed has been essentially rewritten massively by the WWE and is now being used for SmackDown. Essentially, Roman is the undisputed champion, even though there is currently another world champion, so it's not undisputed. Asuka is the undisputed women's champion, even though there's another women's champion in Rhea Ripley, so it's not undisputed. There will not be undisputed tag team championships, but there will be undisputed women's tag team championships. So SmackDown is basically getting all of the undisputed championships. There is a reason for this rewriting of history. While the championships aren't undisputed, the thing that they're doing here, the WWE, is trying to put SmackDown up on a pedestal. Because SmackDown has the undisputed champions. So don't you want to get SmackDown? SmackDown has Roman Reigns. SmackDown has Charlotte Flair. Don't you want to get SmackDown? Etc. etc. Edge will be making appearances on SmackDown. Rey Mysterio will be making appearances on SmackDown. They have names and draws because SmackDown is the A show. Raw will be a little bit more about development. For example, Gunter, Judgment Day, Damian Priest and the like, they are being looked at as people who will be seriously developing over the next few years, Zoe Stark as well, for example. But that is actually more of the developmental show now, because SmackDown is the A show. SmackDown is the A show. Joey says, is Imperium still going after the tag titles even though they're having the gauntlet match? Yeah. Playpain says, does anyone think Liv Morgan will return heel? No. Moxie says, I think Edge might work with Karrion Kross for SummerSlam and honestly have Karrion Kross win. Yeah, Edge really doesn't lose. Rizal says, Asuka versus Charlotte was announced for SmackDown before Money in the Bank. Is the title not going to be defended at the PLE? Thought it was weird. Bianca Belair's next up. I suspect Bianca Belair versus Asuka will be at Money in the Bank. Dane says, will Becky Lynch win Money in the Bank? My predictions are live on YouTube already and you can check them out. Adam says, from what you said about Vince being involved with Bray Wyatt, if Vince was to remove Adam, you've asked that question about 15 times. Your questions are always the same and you always get the exact same answer. You're asking me hypotheticals on situations which are incredibly unlikely. The next time you ask that question, you won't ask further questions for the rest of the show. I'm going to be very clear on this, because you are constantly asking the same thing, even though you know I'm not going to answer it. I don't know if you think I become a different person during streams, but what I want you to do is never ask that question again. Even if it becomes pertinent, you're not allowed to ask it. Smooth Realism, thank you very much for subscribing on the YouTube side. I very much appreciate it, and welcome to the show. Kenzie is here, says, hey Tom. Hey Kenzie. Michael says, there was an undisputed error. Michael says, I'm actually really liking what Jay White is doing. Different strokes for different folks, as it were. Personally, as you guys know, I am a big Jay White fan. I like it that he's sort of coming under the radar a little bit, because then the only way to go is up. So I'm pretty happy with that. Just before we continue, subscribers. We have just reached, thank you Smooth Realism, 2,462 subscribers. We continue to go up. We are starting to recover from the damage done from my break for Paris. So we're starting to recover. There's still plenty of work to do on that one. But I do want to say, if you have not subscribed, please do consider it. You'll get notifications every time we go live with spoiler warning, with our in-depth, with our in-depth news videos, with our shorts and the like. Spider-Boss says, I'd love to see more of Dominic wrestling. Would be different from seeing him hide behind Rhea. Dominic, from what I can tell, is being background pushed at least a little bit. And I'm pretty happy with that. Though I do agree. He is still developing when it comes to the wrestling side. There's a lot of practice and rehearsal going into it. Dominic's still working with Ray to hone himself and hone his skills. Working with Finn Balor as well in the same regard. So we're waiting for that one. He'll be even better next time. Daniela says, what about Lashley? Lashley isn't considered a huge name draw, but I do think it's a possible opponent for Edge. Blue says the undisputed Edge. Ken says, do you think AEW should mention WWE in the wrestlers' promos? No. Get over on yourself. Don't get over on other people. Moxie says, I think Bianca versus Asuka, Money in the Bank, then SummerSlam, the triple threat. Then we move on to Charlotte versus Bianca. Joey says, do you see Cross going over in the feud of AJ? No. Cross doesn't win matches. No. Playpain says, NXT is a developmental brand, then Raw is a more developmental but higher up, and SmackDown is the A show. That's kind of clever and cool. Pretty much, yeah. Spider-Boss says, good promo from MJF on Dynamite. Razar says, I thought SmackDown won the draft in terms of star power in both the men's and women's divisions. So it was intentional by WWE, it seems. Yep, it's the A show. It's the one with the greatest viewership. They're using Roman Reigns for that. And that is the next piece of news that I want to discuss. Because the TV rights are coming up, the deal is being made. The WWE believe that SmackDown is their most valuable commodity and should command the highest amount of income. Particularly with the ratings we've seen recently, there is a huge amount of focus on getting eyes onto SmackDown. And a huge part of this is the recent use of Roman Reigns. After WrestleMania, there was a break, but it was severely limited by Roman Reigns standards, and he's basically been on TV every other week ever since. This is why the Bloodline storyline is continuing, and in many ways why Cody Rhodes did not win the championship. The WWE do believe, particularly Vince McMahon, that the TV deal should be earning them more than Fox initially paid. Because even though SmackDown did dip down for a while compared to its initial numbers, it has recovered strong. And the fact that the ratings are going up while TV is trending down mean that the WWE have essentially said, hey, Fox, give us more money. Fox are of a mind to do it, though the amount of money is in question. With the amount of money in play here, that has opened the door to a lot of different opportunities from a lot of different companies. A lot of different companies are certainly interested. There's been mention of Disney in reports. I believe, I think Fightful mentioned that one. Correct me if I'm wrong there. And there's a number of different companies which are looking towards WWE content. The WWE want a large amount of money. I suspect they're going to get it. Blue says, Tom, that is false. Dom would never work with that terrible father behind the scenes. Spider-Boss says, I think the only way for Edge to put over someone is have him lose his last match against Roman. Waste of time. You don't need Edge to work with Roman. You need Edge to lose to people like Finn Balor. That's what you need. Hello, Sean. How are you? JJ says, that's why I wanted Becky on SmackDown, all the stars on that show. Becky and Seth essentially are the glue that holds Raw together, so I'm pretty happy overall that they are both there. Moxley with a stat, the last time Cross won a match was on February 24th against Ray, and he only won because of Dominic. Rhea Ripley's new belt is on the way, likely to debut tonight. We have been introduced to the Undisputed Women's Championship, and that Undisputed Women's Championship went to Asuka. Now, with that going to Asuka, there will be a new championship for Rhea Ripley. We mentioned this last week when I mentioned that the Women's Championships are en route. We have a Young Squid in the chat and subscribing. Thank you very much, Young Squid. No smooth realism, the chat's moving pretty quick, but at the moment I'm still reading every comment. It's just that I'll be reading out questions rather than the majority of comments. So, with this in mind, the championship will be debuting tonight, it seems most likely, and it will be a championship built around the exact replica, bit of a white strap, of the World Heavyweight Championship currently held by Seth Rollins. The championships are being paired up, even though Undisputed is going to SmackDown, they don't want to leave Raw behind, and they are not doing so. Rhea Ripley's coronation will take place here, and honestly, I'm just very, very excited about it. Very excited about it. Because Rhea Ripley with the gold is going to be a lot better, in my opinion, than Rhea Ripley with the blue. That said, I don't love the World Heavyweight Championship. But Rhea will make it work. It's Rhea. Bracer says, evening, Tom. Found the Colohue Gaming channel and subscribed. Thank you, Bracer. I appreciate that, mate. I am intending to do something with that channel, but it will be launching at the beginning of next year, as I believe I've explained. So I appreciate you dropping in, mate. How you doing? Richard says the New York Post has tweeted that the WWE USA Network deal is to end in 2024. Thank you, Richard Smith. I appreciate that. Megan, thank you for reminding me. For those who don't know, our very own Ed Fries has now reached affiliate level on Twitch. He is officially able to at least get money from ads on streams and any subscriptions and bits that anyone would like to throw his way. If you're a fan of Marvel Snap, he's your guy. If you're a fan of very, very chilled, like unpacking streams, Megan can produce a lot of quality there as well. I dropped into one of Megan's streams quite recently and just enjoyed the carnage that is Civilization. Had a big talk about Age of Empires as well, which is old school. And also, of course, we've got OLE in the chat. You can check out their work. And our very own Lauren Goodnight is also now on Twitch. Her first few streams went pretty well, and I'm hoping we can get her to affiliate soon as well. Sean said, did you hear of the report that the history and lineage of the WWE title has been put on hold while Roman is champion? When he loses, the Universal title will officially be retired. This came from PWInsider. Did it? Because I reported this exact thing on Monday. Last week. Literally this exact thing. If you were here for spoiler warning last week and you heard me report that, can you do me a favour and just shout out in the chat for me? Blue says it's the idea that with SmackDown that because it's on network they're trying to leverage, with talk of Fox not being super keen to up the price. Yes, that is exactly the case. Bracer says I messaged Wade last week regarding SmackDown post-show, yet to hear back, but we'll let you know. Fingers crossed, mate. This is a good call, go for it. Zane says Billy Corgan said if you're not going to watch Tyrus and you're not a wrestling fan, do you agree? No. There's this idea of, these people are real wrestling fans, blah, blah, blah. I don't like it. I don't like it. Young Squid said, just found you. I subbed. Seems like you got good takes and an inside track on the news. Thank you, Young Squid. It's been a good time. It's been a very good time for the Tom Colohue channel, for the news that we are reporting. For example, on Monday, last week, there was a pretty big show. I reported the news on Drew McIntyre, that's now come out today. The report on the lineage change, which has now come out today. And the report on Bray Wyatt, which has now come out today. Also the same. So it's one of those that all of my content is still available. So if you would like to fact check any of this, it's very easy to do so. You just go back and watch last Monday's stream. It's right there. It's funny because I got a lot of trolls diving in to my Twitter when I was announcing the stream, saying that, you said Drew McIntyre would be back on this week's Raw, when I never said it. In no way did I ever say it. Clearly some people just don't pay attention. Spider Boss says new women's title for Asuka and Charlotte returned. New title for Rhea. I hope Raquel challenges Rhea. Hogan says, fun fact, the WWE wrestler with the best win percentage in 2023, minimum 10 matches, is Wes Lee, 19-0. Second is Charlotte Flair, 20-1. And Charlotte Flair has not been back all that long. Joey says, why doesn't Rhea have a new opponent? Feels like she's feuding with the men more than the women. Rhea Ripley has already had 2 opponents in the 2 pay-per-views that we've had. She might well miss Money in the Bank, but she'll be back for SummerSlam. When it comes to Money in the Bank, there are 2 ladder matches. Not every championship can be defended. Peter says, hi Tom, do you think Solo Sikoa can beat Roman Reigns? Since the tribal chief is on commercial for Paris Olympics in July 2024, Roman Reigns is probably going to retain his undisputed championship. I wouldn't read too much into that, but I do definitely think Solo Sikoa could be the one. Richard's happy that the women's title have dropped the Raw and SmackDown from the name. Me too. So does Ronda Rousey, who first asked for it. Player Payne says, I really hope Rhea will be more involved with the women's division as she is champion. They do need to build some people up in order to get to that point. There are very few big names on Raw at the moment in the women's division, especially with Alexa Bliss not being there. Bracer, I'm not sure at this point. I'm waiting to hear more information. They haven't announced any TV deal for the UK to my knowledge. Rodney says, with Bliss out with her pregnancy, who will fill in by Bray's side? No one. They wanted to separate them anyway. Thank you, Bailey. Thank you, Daz. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Stuart. Love you guys. Love you guys. Smooth Realism. I have multiple mods for this channel. There is actually a 4-mod team that moderate both the YouTube, the Discord, and the Twitch side. You, in fact, can see 2 of them in the chat as we speak, in Ed and Megan. There is also Sai and Lauren, who do cover a lot of that as well. Thankfully, by and large, I'm able to moderate my own stuff, but while we do sometimes get really, really quite busy, the record I think is 232 people in the chat, I don't like to put too much demand onto the mod team until I get to the point where I can pay them, which is indeed the plan. Sean says there are 2 dark matches after SmackDown last week. KO and Sammy versus Pretty Deadly and Seth versus Damien. And Moxley says Cross is so funny because he loses, he starts another fight, then loses, then fights someone else and loses. Repeat, he'll leave for 3 weeks, then come back in a dark promo. Yep, pretty much. That's how it goes. Thank you very kindly for the generous donation there, Braced. I very much appreciate it. You probably check out my content on more mediums than anyone else. So I do appreciate your backup there. And Mick, I just got a notification from you stating that you've quoted me and used me as a source in one of your YouTube videos. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Wiggly is here after the big party. Hope you enjoyed it, mate. You did do it, Wiggly. There is something I said, and I was indeed wrong. Congratulations to the team, which you are not a part of. Venom says, is Nick and Tom's on this Tuesday? Nope. We're nowhere near Money in the Bank, so not this Tuesday. Daniel says, any truth to the rumour I just made up that Marco Stunt joins Bullet Club Gold? You never can tell. Ken says, does Charlotte Flair deserve a title match only just returning? No, but ultimately if you want it to be a heel, that's how it's going to work. So far, not a heel though. Weird place. Brad says, I hate tribalism. Really should have no place in wrestling. I personally watch as much as I can, and I believe that's the way to go. Spider Boss says, Mercedes money news, Drew McIntyre news, Ronda Cheney win the women's tag team titles, all first reported on Spoiler Warning. Joey says, what happened to Piper Niven? She returned and disappeared again. Creative hiatus at this point in time. Daniela says, who do you reckon can dethrone Austin Theory for the US title? I previously mentioned, I think AJ Styles will be the one. And Brayster, in that donation, says, a pair character doing a classic mic drop. Now, he doesn't say that, but he did it. And I can see that mic drop, and it's beautiful. Wiggly has renewed subscription for a 23rd month on Twitch. A 23rd month. Thank you very kindly for that, Wiggly. Player Pain says, I see Raquel being built up a lot. Liv will be the one, but she's obviously injured. Liv was going to be the one, quite possibly the one to take the championship. Razar says, does WWE have a policy about someone being out due to pregnancy? Yeah. It extends their contract. Moxie says, I think Jey Uso will be the one to beat Roman. If Solo beats Roman, it will be fun, but if Jey beats Roman, it will be very emotional. Sean says, Fightful just about a half an hour ago, WWE's trademarked Tegan Nox and Candice LeRae's names. Is this for merchandise purposes? That is one of the reasons. Another reason is Twitch. They're intending to basically make as much money as possible on Twitch, and there are a number of people who have Twitch channels that they want to take advantage of. Wow, Ed. Wow. Wow. Venom also hopes we get Rhea versus Raquel. Megan says, last year at Money in the Bank, the US title, Raw Women's title, Undisputed Tag Team titles, and SmackDown Women's title, twice, were defended along with the 2 Money in the Bank matches for a total of 7 matches. That, of course, automatically removes the United States Championship and, of course, the Intercontinental Championship, which at that time just wasn't being used much. Smooth, your message was not deleted. You cannot confirm that. Steve says, what's happening, Tom Colohue? How you doing, Steve? Been a while, mate. How you doing? I've seen that you've been streaming again a little bit recently. I've been enjoying some of your work. I lurk, as you know. Raymond says, I'd love to see Raquel compete with Rhea. Bracer says, are you going to Money in the Bank? I am not. I am instead hosting watch parties, which should be fun. Sean says, Andre Chase injured? I'm not sure on that one. And Bracer says, hope LA Knight wins? Yeah. Spider-Boss says, about tribalism, I certainly don't like the beef between Mercedes money stands and Saraya stands. Yeah, there's no beef between the actual wrestlers, but, you know, here we are. Wiggly says, any news if WWE might return for a Raw taping? Raw's on every week, mate. I don't understand. Rob says, thank you to Megan, Ed, Lauren, and Sai, and of course, to myself. Appreciate that, Robs. Appreciate that. Blue says, Raw watch parties with Tegan would get me to watch. Certainly a possibility at the moment. They are hosting their own watch parties. Hogan says, Triple H having Solo win would feel awfully familiar. When's the last time we had a stable slowly disintegrate before the muscle turned on the leader and took the title from him? I made that comparison quite a lot because it's a very apt comparison. Wiggly says, I'm assuming the UK pay-per-view is a once-a-year thing now and replaces the 2 Raw and SmackDown tapings they used to do. There will still be UK tours, but I did report last year before Clash of the Castle, in fact in the spoiler warning, right before Clash of the Castle, that we would be seeing a UK show every year from here on. Veggie says, Priest or Shinsuke, my picks to win Money in the Bank. And Jamie Williams says hi. Hello, Jamie Williams. We're currently at 95 viewers and 43 likes. If you're able to, please do remember to hit that thumbs up as you come into the channel. It really does help boost the channel's reach and help the algorithm to ensure that people find it and help us grow. We are now at 2,463 subscribers. Thank you very much to everyone who's already subscribed. If you like this content, please do consider subscribing. And if you don't necessarily like this content, there are still videos that you can check out. There is a 5-minute video detailing everything going on with Drew McIntyre right now that you might want to see. Wiggly says, Asuka set to lose to Charlotte. No. Megan says, T-Town watch party? Tidy. Spider-Boss says, I like how WWE is booking the women's tag team titles now that Ronda is champion. They'll at least get some focus. Adam, that is a different question, so I'm going to let you off. But I also know that you're asking the exact same question in a different way. There we are. Oh, gotcha, Wiggly. Yeah, Raw will be in the UK every now and then. There'll still be tours. Sean says, does Seth respond to Bron Breakker tonight? Possibly. Or not. Seth doesn't really care that much. Moxie says, Tom, first of all, do you see Triple H getting Samoa Joe when his contract expires? Yes. And if Samoa Joe was ever to come back, WWE, what match would you instantly put him in with? Gunter. Yes, Wiggly, there is no conversation happening as regards where the UK pay-per-view will be in 2024. Daz, I'm not sure when Money in the Bank actually starts. I think it'll be about 6 o'clock. Will be fun. Rizal says, disappointed Dominic won't be in the Money in the Bank match. The tease of him winning, it would have been great. Daniela says, which championship do you see getting defended at Money in the Bank? Daniela, all of my predictions for the matches and the victors are already live on YouTube. They went live on Wednesday. By all means, pop back to the video section and you'll be able to see. And no, Zane, I don't watch main event because why would anyone? Joey says, do you think Becky versus Rhea could happen at SummerSlam? Nope, I think Becky versus Trish Stratus is still set for SummerSlam, but later on in the year, Becky will definitely be there. I suspect it might be Royal Rumble or Survivor Series time, personally. Have a good night, Wiggly. Spider-Man says, I hope the winner of the Women's Money in the Bank fails the cash-in. I personally think there'll be a couple of fails. Raymond says, it would be great if Dom won Money in the Bank, but he doesn't need it. I don't think he could be hated any more than he already is. Venom says, Tommaso Ciampa waiting on Johnny to be finished with the way for his return. No. Ken says, I love Charlotte Flair being women's champion. You may get your wish sooner rather than later. Joey says, who does Rhea face? There are a number of people. It is likely to be someone like Raquel. I don't think she's getting a big match for SummerSlam per se. I just don't think there are other people. It would have been Liv. Megan, thank you. Says, Money in the Bank starts around 7 p.m. for us in the UK from what I can find. That means 2 p.m. Eastern time in the US. Spider-Boss says, it's funny for me when WWE put Liv with big women in tag team, first Rhea Ripley and recently Raquel. The next piece of news, as Venom is asking, is about Bo Dallas. So it's a moderately small piece of news, but it's a piece of news that someone asked about and I reached out to find out more information. And it's that, essentially, most importantly, Bo Dallas is still under WWE contract and is still actively being paid, even while he is not currently performing as Uncle Howdy. Bo Dallas has been wrestling as Uncle Howdy. Well, I say wrestling as Uncle Howdy. He's been making appearances as Uncle Howdy, eventually in a tag team with Bray Wyatt, but the team didn't really go anywhere. Since Bray Wyatt has been out, Uncle Howdy, and thus Bo Dallas, has been the sidelines with him. But he is still actively being paid, and he is still actively staying fit and speaking to Bray, ready for his eventual return. When Bray returns, Bo Dallas will also return in some incarnation, even if Uncle Howdy is not necessarily the one to do so. Hogan says, I just found out they're doing a college American football game in Ireland the day after All In. Someone travelling is going to have a really fun weekend. I'll be at All In. I don't think I'll be going to Ireland afterwards. Ken, no, I'm not drinking cherry coke. It's just juice. Just juice. Moxie is excited for the idea of Gunter versus Joe. And Megan says, I hope whoever wins the Women's Money in the Bank gets to keep the case for more than a day this time. Moises says, Bo Leave needs to come back. I don't see Bo Dallas wrestling as Bo Dallas again, unfortunately. Joey, I've just answered that. We'll have to wait and see what happens when Bray returns. But Bo Dallas will be returning in some capacity. As regards wrestling, he didn't do a lot, but it's up to Bray. Something's happening outside my window. Disney. I've mentioned it before, but it's in the news again now, so let's reiterate. Disney are interested in picking up WWE content. Disney, in fact, is very interested in picking up new WWE content. This would necessitate some changes to WWE, but it does depend what content they pick up. There is not much interest in pay-per-views, but there is potentially interest in a Disney exclusive show that is geared more towards kids. Think back to, for example, the Mixed Tag Challenge? The Mixed Match Challenge, and the way that they did that. It was a bit more kid-friendly, it was a bit more of a caricature, it was a bit pantomime. Disney are very interested in something like that that would appeal to kids a bit more. Now, Disney are not necessarily just interested in that, but they are interested in that first. If they then look to add more content, it would be for Disney Plus, not necessarily Disney channels. Now, Disney Plus would be perfect for pay-per-views, as I've mentioned, but it wouldn't be something that takes up a Raw, a SmackDown, potentially an NXT, but it wouldn't be a Raw or a SmackDown. So don't expect anytime soon Disney to swoop in and take the whole damn thing. Not the whole damn thing. There is interest in Disney. I would absolutely find it hilarious if Roman Reigns is Disney-fied. But they are also, and I've mentioned this before, they are also looking to relaunch extra revenue streams for WWE, including, for example, WWE film and WWE TV shows and cartoons. Disney would be a very, very effective partner in that realm. Blue says, Tom, think you can rank the All-In matches on your next live stream after the show? No, probably not. Smooth Realism disagrees about it being the same story being told. I've gone into this a few times. From what I can tell with Bray Wyatt's story, he always unfortunately gets cut off before you get to the actual finish. Whether as the original Eater of Worlds, the Wyatt family, whether as the Fiend, somehow he just always loses momentum at a very awkward time, and he never gets to finish telling the story that he wants to tell. So he starts it again, and yeah, it comes out slightly different, but he's ultimately telling the same story. The same story involving Sister Abigail, about a level of insecurity and personality. It's not a multiple personality disorder. He wants to be led. He's a follower. There was always this misconception that Bray Wyatt was a cult leader. No. He followed the teachings of Sister Abigail. And everything was because he followed Sister Abigail. The Fiend, in many ways, was that moment where he realized, oh, I'm finally alone. So he created a new version of himself that he could follow, and thus became again a follower. That's the story of Bray Wyatt. Even Uncle Howdy, originally an opponent, suddenly became someone that Bray Wyatt was following. Bray Wyatt's story has always been roughly the same. Insecurity about being alone. Spider-Boss says, do you think we could see Stardom talent in Forbidden Door? Yes. Danielle says, what's happening with the JD McDonough versus Dolph Ziggler feud on Raw? Stop, start. They just don't have it on every week. They're trying not to oversaturate, so a lot of these feuds will actually be going for a few months. They'll be doing it now and again. Joey says, did they pair Maxine Dupree with Otis and Gable to push her? In a way, yes. Essentially, they've given up a little bit on Triple M. And I think that's a shame, but they just haven't been using them. So they paired them up as essentially a concession that the option instead was to not push Chad Gable. And that just doesn't work. Plus, they need tag teams. Thank you, Play Pain. Thank you very much for your questions, and thank you very much for joining us. Blue says, Disney show sounds like something for Ray and a lot of the women they have. LWO would do very well there. Hogan says, I could see Endeavour trying to bundle UFC and WWE streaming rights to a single platform in 2026. I think Khan may have actually spoken about this. If they get the money, they will. Moxie says, not going to lie, they should change the name SmackDown to the Roman Reigns show. It's been the Roman Reigns show since 2020. Raymond says, Roman wearing Mickey ears, hilarious. Sean says, would love a WWE cartoon TV show again. Bailey says, could Disney simply bid for WWE content on Peacock? Yes, they could, and there will likely be interest in that. Moxie says, can we all agree the Bloodline storyline is cinema? It's alright. Sean says, I didn't agree with Bailey defeating Michin. The Women's Money in the Bank already has a big name in it, Becky, and now it has two. There's room enough. There's room enough. As Badaboss points out that the Goldberg loss really did impact negatively the Fiend. Zane, you need to source that when you say it. I believe the source is Fightful, but still. Rosal says NXT would be a great fit for Disney. NXT has a youthful energy to it. And I do believe that is the most likely show that Disney would be interested in. Ed says WWE cartoons have been awful in the best way. Camp WWE and WWE Slamtown were so bad, they were good. Moxie says, Tom, I saw a report for Fightful around 2021 that the endgame for the Fiend was for Roman to beat him If not for Goldberg, they said that the original plan was Roman versus The Fiend at WrestleMania 36 for the Universal title, and Roman would have won. I also reported that. Way back when. Hogan says the cartoon would be a great way to use all of Wyatt's ideas. Make the horror movie. He keeps wanting to make a horror movie. Let him. Just let him. We are currently at 54 likes, 100 viewers, 2,463 subscribers. I want to say a massive thank you to all of you for joining me. I'm going to get me a late night snack and I'm going to wrap it up there. I very, very much appreciate all of you for joining me. We do spoiler warning every Monday and every Friday, and we also do our SmackDown watch parties, the exception being this Friday when I'll be out of town. So the next spoiler warning, the next live show, will be on Monday. There'll be more videos coming, and of course your regular dose of shorts in which I discuss in small bite-sized chunks everything that is happening in the world of wrestling. So thank you everyone for joining me. I've been Tom Colohue. You have been fantastic, and I'll see you all very soon.